Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Cold Hard Truth NFL podcast. I'm your host, Anish Gupta.
And I'm your host, Srikar.
We're back this time with a little bit more to talk about. The NFL schedule released, and I know I put out our episode on Saturday, after the schedule was released, and I think we did a schedule preview, so that's my bad. But we're gonna do our early reactions to it. Obviously, the schedule is a big influence on how your team season can go, right? There's those hard stretches of games that can make or break an entire year. So to get, kind of the schedule out of the way, we kind of know what our teams are facing, who has a tougher one, who has an easier one. For starters, the Steelers don't even have to travel outside the Eastern time zone, which is really, really huge. And the Seahawks, who always kind of get stuck with the most travel miles a year, still got stuck with it this year. So, there's little factors that go into the whole scheduling thing. But we're going to start off with our three, I guess, most anticipated games. Personally, which ones are we most looking forward to? So I guess I'll start with one of them. I'll give my quote unquote third place. And it's going to be Chiefs Bucks. It's the Super Bowl 55 rematch. What's there not to like about this? It's Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, and I think it's going to be the final matchup of these two teams. NFC, AFC, you get it every 4 years, and I know with the new schedule update with the 17 games, you play the division winner, but it's still pretty rare. So I think this is going to be the final matchup we see of Tom Brady and Mahomes, unless they meet in the Super Bowl. So I'm really excited for that. Let's see if Mahomes can get one more on him. If Brady wins this, I think it's just adding on to another reason why he's just so far ahead, and I don't think Mahomes will ever catch him. I think the narrative is still there, right? Brady beat him in the Super Bowl. It's just going to be really hard, but I'm excited for this game. I just want to see if Mahomes can beat him one last time before they go out. I think it's head-to-head. I think Brady's got him 3-2, if I'm not mistaken. So this will be the fourth or sixth battle. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, an interesting tidbit about the Seahawks, as you said earlier, 38 time zones. They got to travel through 38 time zones. That's crazy to me.
Wow.
Is that Chiefs-Bucks game in Arrowhead, or is it in
No,
Raymond?
it's in Tampa. Tampa gets most of their hard games at home.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I like the pick. It's going to be a good game. Mahomes versus Brady is always going to be, good entertainment. Number 3 for me, it's actually the kickoff game. It's Bills at Rams, Week 1, Thursday Night Football. It's the first game of the year, and I think it's one of the best. No, it's not going to have massive implications because it's Week 1 and it's interconference, so we can't really talk about tiebreakers. But, regardless, it's a game between the defending champs and who people think to be the odds-on favorite to win the Super Bowl. And if the Bills win on the road against the Rams on a national stage, they are really, just firmly announcing themselves as the team to beat. So I really like the kickoff game this year, and I think the schedule makers did a good job with that.
Yeah, I don't know if they're necessarily the team to beat, but it would be a big, bold statement to knock off the defending champs. So I would give you that. I think, yeah, my only problem with the game, I had it number 4. It's like week 1, right? It doesn't,
Yeah, I know.
obviously it matters, but in the grand scheme of
No, it
things,
doesn't.
either team can afford this loss. But the big thing is one of these teams will start 0-1. Obviously, okay, barring a tie, but yeah, one of these teams will start 0-1.
Mhm.
So I guess, yeah, that could, have maybe some implications down the road for the division. But I think both of these teams are pretty favored and should win their respective divisions. But good game nonetheless. I think it's going to be a classic week 1 matchup. It's hard to pick against the defending champs there. Obviously, we'll know more heading up into September. We're still 4 months away. But it's hard not to be excited for this one.
Mhm.
At number 2, it's kind of an interesting one. I don't think many people have this on their list, but it's Bucks Niners. And my only reason for it is the whole narrative that the Shanahans turned down Brady twice. Not once, but twice. First when he left, and then the second time where there was the whole Dolphin saga this year, and how he potentially wanted to come home, and they said, nope, we're going to ride with an unproven guy from North Dakota State. So, yeah, the Bucks Niners, I think it's going to be pretty cool. Brady's going to come back home. I literally cannot remember the last time Brady faced the Niners. It's been so long.
In Levi's 2016.
I think so. You're right. Yeah. Because in 2020 he left, right? And it was Cam Newton. So, yeah, it's been a really, really long time. So, hey, let's see if he can, pull some magic off. Santa Clara is literally 20 minutes from his home, and I think he was in San Mateo. So it's really, really close. So it's really, where his parents live. It's going to be an instant classic, I think. I don't know who to pick out of those two. But I think it's going to be a good game, and these are two good teams nonetheless.
Yeah, I was able to actually go to the Pats Niners game the last time that Brady was in Levi's, and everyone thought, the narrative surrounding that was going to be the last time that Brady would face the Niners, and
Right.
here we are. So I think it's going to be a great game. Obviously, you look at the Bucs compared to that Pats team. I think we're going to see some offensive fireworks in this game. Niners can pull that upset, man. I don't know. I really like the Niners in that game, but I won't jump to
Too
conclusions.
early to tell. Yeah. Can you believe it? 6 years. 6 years have
It's been
passed since that game.
so long.
We
It's been
thought it was going to be Brady's last one back then.
it's no, it's incredible to me. The whole narrative is basically still the same 6 years later. It's crazy.
Right.
So I think that's a good pick there. Number two, it's also going to be involving Tom Brady here. It's the Packers at the Bucks in Week 3. I feel like I had to include it on the list. The last time these two teams met, it was the NFC Championship game at Lambeau Field back in 2020. Of course, the Buccaneers won that game before winning it all 2 weeks later. This despite Tom Brady throwing 3 interceptions in the second half. But look, it's another early one. It's definitely early, but I think it's a good test for both sides. The season's beginning to warm up. These are, two of the top teams in the NFC. So I really like this game. And I think even though it's early, again, it's kind of like the same issue with the kickoff game. I think there's still sort of some implications down the line there.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good matchup. I mean, Rodgers has lost, I believe, his last two matchups against Tom Brady. No, his last three.
Mm,
So it's going to be interesting to see what he does there. I mean, he's not going to have Devontae. So how is he going to look against these really good teams? I think this is the big test, the first big test the Packers have to face. I'm pretty sure in their schedule. So not having him is going to be way easier for a defensive game plan from new head coach Todd Bowles. It's going to be an interesting game. Obviously, you're going to see certain teams a lot on these, big anticipated matchups. But hey, it's probably Tom Brady's last year, so we're going to include him in there.
mhm.
I'm going to go to number one. This one also is going to really shock people, but this one I'm glad it's later in the year. It's Bengals versus the Bills, and the reason why that's my number one is because that was like the quote unquote anticipated AFC championship, right? Like last year. So we never got to see it. They didn't play last year. So this matchup this year, we're gonna really see the two test of two really young quarterbacks who've got just a nice grip on the game. People have them in their top 5, top 6. These are two amazing quarterbacks that are going to go head to head. Two great rosters. Two guys that are at the cusp of being true, AFC, how do I say this, like heavyweights, for years to come, right? Because prior it was always like a Peyton Manning led team, a Tom Brady led team, or like the Steelers, right? Now we're kind of moving over. We're moving on.
Mhm.
Mahomes is one of them. Can Allen stay consistent and keep him there? This is right, his third year, really inserting himself in the thick of the AFC race. And same thing with the Bengals, right? Can they stay afloat and come back and be, the same, I guess, juggernaut force that they were last year? I think I'm really excited for that game.
Is it in Buffalo?
I think so. I'm
If
pretty
so,
sure.
watch out for the weather. We could see Joe Burrow versus Josh Allen in the snow. And even if we do get a snow game, it's all about the run game. Then we can see Mixon on the ground. So I think it's
Right.
it's a pretty good pick there.
No,
I
it's at.
think
Oh, by the way, it's at Cincinnati. I was
oh, it's
mistaken.
at Cincy. So
Yeah, but it's week 16. Or
so
sorry, week
there could be
17. Week
there
17.
could be some weather antics there, but I mean, if we look at Week 17 this past year, it wasn't bad. So that will still be interesting. Josh Allen versus Joe Burrow, as you said, is going to be a nice quarterback duel to watch there. I can't wait to see how this Bengals offense against the Bills defense. I think that's a great matchup there too. So I like the pick. I don't think I go with them at number one, but I'll respect it. At number one for me, I really couldn't put anything else at number one. This was the clear cut for me.
Let me guess. Let me guess it. Chiefs Rams.
No, it's not. It is Bills at
What?
Chiefs. It is Bills at Chiefs Week 6.
Okay.
I feel like this. I mean, it may be odd. This is the best rivalry in the NFL right now, in my opinion. In each of the past 2 seasons, I mean, we've seen these teams meet in both the regular season, the postseason. The Chiefs have won 3 of 4, both playoff matchups. They won both at Arrowhead Stadium. If Buffalo is really going to just break through and win their first Super Bowl, you got to deal with the Chiefs, maybe twice, but I feel like this could be a big turning point for the Bills season because it's in Week 6. it could be a huge momentum boost the rest of the way. The Bills don't have, an incredibly tough, schedule. They got a pretty easy division. So I think this would be a big momentum boost for the Bills. And on the Chiefs, you could argue the same thing. It's a revenge game for both teams in a sense because obviously people are sleeping on the Chiefs, but it'll be a good test for them against this Bills team against, a defense that now has Von Miller added to them. So I think this is the, I guess I don't know. I want to say clear cut, but I think it's definitely number one for me. And maybe I don't think we're going to get a rematch of that AFC divisional game, but I think they're always just going to provide good theater. So that's my number one.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the narrative with the playoff game. Yeah, I think in terms of media attention, this one's going to garner the most.
Yeah,
Um, I think again, the Bills. You can show they showed it to me in the regular season last year. They went on the road Sunday Night Football and did it around the same time. I think it was mid season, but you gotta show it to me when it counts. So I don't think the implications for it are as big as people would make it out to be. I think for the Bills, a lot of these games are just prove it. We're still here. Like, or they're trying to prove that they're everyone's number one team on paper. Like that's what this regular season is for Buffalo, right? Anything short of a top three seed is flat out disappointing,
that's failure.
right? Yeah, literally. And the Chiefs don't really have that type of number one seed expectation with the loss of Tyreek Hill. The Chiefs have a lot to gain. The Bills have a lot to lose. So I think people are gunning for the Bills the same way they're gunning for the Chiefs now, which is a little bit interesting. But you're right. I think that matchup is, ooh, that one's gonna be really good. I'm really hoping it's the same way. I think it's at Chiefs again, right?
It's an Arrowhead.
Yeah. So I mean, whew, maybe one day we'll get the Chiefs at the Bills. I mean, see, yeah. So the Bills need to get home field advantage if they really want to make it through the playoffs. I think they need it.
They
Like
have the
flat
inside
out.
track for it with their divisions.
Yeah. I mean, look at the way they've lost. Both times has been at Arrowhead. If they get these games at Buffalo, I think it's a different story each time. So it really just comes down to that. But again, I can't live on what if. You got to show it to me, and I really hope they do. So we're gonna move on. We're NFL fans at the end of the day, but we're also fans of our own teams. So maybe we're gonna take one takeaway from each of our team schedule. And if you're a fellow Browns fan or a fellow Niner fan out there, hopefully you'll enjoy this little segment. I'll let Shrikar go first. Maybe an interesting thing about the Niner schedule.
So one interesting tidbit that I guess I took away here in weeks 5 and 6, the Niners they're going to come to the East Coast for games with the Panthers and Falcons, and then after that they don't have a single game outside Pacific. They just don't. I think well, aside from the Mexico game, but San Francisco, I mean, they are just loaded with home games down the stretch. And from weeks, I wrote it down 9 through 14, they just don't play a single true road game. You got a bye week in week 9, and then you got 4 games. You have that neutral site game on Monday night against the Cardinals in Mexico. So that's an interesting tidbit I took away that down the stretch, we are going to be in Levi's.
You want to give an early record prediction? What you had?
10-7.
Okay. Yeah, I'll give my Niners prediction. I had 9-8. We did it literally this morning. And yeah, so we both had the Niners making the playoffs. I think we both had them as a 6 seed, if I'm not
Yes.
mistaken. Right. So I'm gonna talk about the Brown schedule. I can talk about the time zone changes. We only have to move out twice. But that's not what I'm gonna talk about. I'm gonna talk about this 5-game stretch that is literally going to make or break our entire season. So let me read it to you. So we got at Ravens, okay, on October, I believe it's October 23rd. We've got the Bengals at home. I think we got a bye week after that, and then we've got at Dolphins, at Bills, and the Bucks. That 5-game stretch right there is going to make or break the entire season. You need to win. Like if I'm the Browns, I need to win at least 2. At least. If you go 2-3, that's that's really iffy. But you need to win at least 2. You have to. There's no way you lose 4 out of these 5. If you lose 4 out of these 5, I don't think you make the playoffs. I'm right here. I'm saying that right now. I'm guaranteeing it. So at Ravens, right? Bengals at home, bye week, at Dolphins, at Bills, and Bucks at home. Those 5 are going to make or break the entire Brown season. I'm calling it right now. They have a really easy start in terms of, win percentage last year. It's at Panthers, Jets at home, Steelers at home on Thursday night, and then at Falcons. I think that's a pretty confident 4-0 start. I'm not, obviously, knock on wood for, I'm not going to predict it right now, but I think, safe to say they will be the favorite in those 4 games, right? But that 5-game stretch is really going to determine how the Browns do. And Deshaun Watson, I think Yahoo Sports reported that we're kind of towards the end of this whole investigation. I think he's meeting with the NFL soon,
Yes, he is.
if I'm not mistaken.
Mhm.
And he's also taking a bunch of offensive teammates to the Bahamas, literally paying for everything. So hopefully the team has that type of chemistry coming into the year because they're going to need it for those 5 games. I mean, that is a hellacious schedule. We're talking about literally 5 winning teams, and 3 of them were in the conference championship last year. 3 of them. So you gotta really buckle up and get ready for this. I'm not sorry. 3 of them have been in a conference championship in the last two years. Let me say that. Yeah. So my record prediction for the Browns might be a little bit biased. This is assuming the Deshaun Watson plays all 17 games. I got 11-6 as of right now, but that's easily subject to change.
That's not biased. I'd say 10-7. Like, it's not too bad of a record prediction. You better hope you have Watson in that stretch, though.
Oh
You
my
have
God, are
Jacoby
you kidding me?
Brissett.
Yeah,
Oh
right. I
my
know.
goodness. That would be.
I think in my scenario, I did a playoff predictors in the morning. I had him as the 5 seed. What did you have him?
I think I had them at 5.
Okay.
Yeah, I did have because I had Colts
5.
at 4. So
Yeah,
yeah, I
me
had
too.
I had Browns 5.
Okay, yeah. So then both of us would have a Colts Browns anticipated matchup. So yeah, a little spoiler, we have Colts winning the division. Um,
Oh,
yeah. So there's our little takeaway from each team's schedule. So we're gonna move it on. Drew Brees is one of my favorite quarterbacks of all time. I think he's a class act. He's been nothing short of terrific for the city of New Orleans. And obviously, you got to have him in your top 10 when you mention the 10 best quarterbacks ever. Again, change the game for small quarterbacks, right? We've seen guys like Kyler, Baker, Russell Wilson. That's all because of Drew Brees. So he's contemplating, whatever you want to call it. He's thinking about coming back. After it was really sad to see, but after Jarvis Landry said he was coming home, signed with the Saints, he was like, I think he made an Instagram post and he was like, yo, Jarvis Landry, Tyrann Mathieu, man, I gotta come back.
no,
And
that was
then
a tweet. Yeah.
yeah, and then there were a couple like teammates were like, Cam Jordan was like, nah, he'll probably just be a coach or something like that. And he did decide to leave NBC. I think they were in talks, and he said, yeah, I'm what do you call it? Ending the deal or whatever.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, I'll let you give your thoughts. I mean, do you think Breeze comes back, and would you like to see him back? Do you think he can still be productive, or will he just be a coach?
Yeah, if we just take it back in time here, Drew Brees. The last time we saw him, he was leaving the Superdome after that loss to Tom Brady and the Buccaneers in the divisional. Obviously, we all remember that scene of him just saying his final goodbyes there. And while he is a future first ballot Hall of Famer, I mean, no question, at that time, Drew Brees definitely, he looked his age. He missed 4 games. And in December and January, he was just struggling to throw the ball with any type of velocity whatsoever. And actually, it's an interesting point here. Breeze still counts $11.5 million against the Saints salary cap this season because that final contract, the voidable years. So it still counts
Right.
against the salary cap. And if you look at Jameis Winston's cap hit, he's due $4 million. So that's nearly 3 times Jameis Winston's cap hit, and he's not even on the roster. But ultimately, I'd say what Drew Brees is saying could be part fantasy, could be part truth, but it's really hard to see New Orleans and Drew Brees having a reunion. I just don't see it happening. He is their all-time franchise player, but this is just something that's very far-fetched in my opinion.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I need to see it to believe it. This is one of those things where it's like, same thing we've talked about Julian Edelman countless times. Is he gonna go back to the Bucks, right? Like I think
That
it's
was
just
one of my hot takes.
yeah, I still for all of our new fans, this guy Street guy here was like one of it. We always have crazy hot takes, but yeah, that one to me was just hella funny. I remember Jack and I looked at each other like, wait, what the hell is this guy on? But yeah, I mean, never in a million years did I think Drew Brees would come back like this. I thought he was well placed as an analyst. He did well for Sunday Night Football. Look, for like a normal person, Drew Brees' arm is amazing. Like quarterbacks, any quarterback who's played at any, level above high school has an arm. Like the way I see these guys throw with such great velocity and accuracy and like practice at Cal, and look, Cal's not the best football program, but like um the way these guys throw, it's just like, I mean, it's crazy. And obviously, Drew Brees is an NFL all-time great. So, to say that he like doesn't have an arm at all, I get sometimes it irks me. But for the
Well,
NFL level,
at time.
yeah, I just don't think he's got the same caliber as you would really need in today's NFL, especially with the receivers that you have now. Can you really expect Drew Brees to keep all three happy, right? Because they all three play very different.
Mhm.
Michael Thomas obviously is catered towards more inside routes, drags, glances, corners, and then Olave is kind of your deep threat that you can put at Z, right? And
Mhm.
then maybe Jarvis Landry is just going to be your slot guy. Like I just really don't know if Drew Brees can hit it in all places of the field on all three levels. I don't really know if he can do that anymore, and that really sucks to say because he is an all-time great and he's the most accurate quarterback in NFL history. Um, but at some point it doesn't just come down to your accuracy, it comes down to your pure talent, and I think it's just diminished a little bit. So I'm not going to take it away from him. I would really love to see him become a quarterback coach. I think he's one of the, like, if you think of what all-time great could be a quarterback coach, obviously like the first three guys that come to my mind are Brady, Manning, and Brees. Those are literally the first three that come to my mind. So he's definitely one of those guys that can do it. So hopefully maybe he comes back on the Saints staff, right? Because he never specifically said as a player.
Mhm.
But yeah, I just don't see it. I would give it maybe like a 1 out of, or maybe like a 0.1 out of 10 chance of happening.
And if I remember correctly, I think Dennis Allen said something about like it was pretty much, he just wanted to say it. Like
Right, right.
he's trying to say
Yeah, it could have been just like a meme, but hey, the cold hard truth. We bring you cold hard truth on everything football. So,
yep. That's what we do.
yep. Well, I guess yeah, we'll kind of switch it over to maybe something that's like serious but a little bit humorous at the same time. Josh Lambo, who was kicked by Urban Meyer at practice, I think in late August, is suing the Jaguars. I'll let Srikar kind of, he has most of the details, but yeah, we'll kind of give our thoughts on it. Obviously, it's like a little topic. I mean, we're in the dry season, okay? So
Right.
we're gonna talk about it. Yeah, go ahead.
So, yep, Josh Lambo, he filed a lawsuit against the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's seeking damages for what is being termed as a hostile work environment under Urban Meyer in 2021. Of course, Lambo's allegation of Meyer kicking him during practice was pretty much, the dagger in what I would say maybe the most pathetic head coaching career in NFL history. Meyer was basically fired within 24 hours of that story breaking, and it was a whole fiasco over there. We've went over it in previous episodes, but Lambo did receive his entire $3.5 million salary last year, but he was scheduled to make four this season before being released. So I guess I'll just say for Shad Khan, I really hope he learned his lesson here. I've said this countless times, but the Jaguars, they hired Meyer because he was, the local hero. Two national championships at Florida, which is, in Gainesville's like an hour out from Jacksonville. And then the Jaguars, they also signed Tim Tebow to the 90-man roster, and then they cut him, just trying to cash in on nostalgia here. And it's just, they were trying to put butts in seats, and it got to a point where they were just so desperate that they weren't even thinking about it, in a football mind. But I'll give them credit. Since then, they've made smart moves. They fired Meyer. They replaced him with a Super Bowl winning head coach in Doug Peterson. Look, there is a long road ahead. I don't think the Jaguars are going to be that great this year, but at least there's signs that they're heading in the right direction. So a lot of stuff surrounding that organization, and with this Lambo news, it doesn't get much better. But maybe, hopefully, they can get this sorted out.
Yeah, I think for an NFL team, if you're in the news for something like this, right? Like my whole thing is like, why? If you're a team that's in the news for anything other than football, it's bad. Like you should not be in the news for something other than football, unless it's like for as a team, right? And like Urban Meyer just brought a whole bunch of just bad narratives, bad media, bad attention, unwanted and unwarranted just scrutiny, right, towards the Jacksonville Jaguars as a fan base, as a franchise. Right. It was so unnecessary. And, Josh Lambo's lawsuit is just another example of how bad the tenure was. I'm not going to say who's like right or wrong. Obviously, the kicking thing is just utter, it's,
Yeah,
it's
it's
stupidity for someone to do that. This is not college football. Even in college football, you shouldn't be doing that.
in any sort of
Uh,
football, you should be doing that.
Right. I mean, when you bring these recruits in, like even in college, it's like you're enticing them to come here for the environment, and to do something like that is just not, what you were preaching to these recruits.
Right.
It's the same thing in the NFL, right? Like it's a job at the end of the day, but you are promised a good work environment, and yeah, at the end of the day, it is a job, and he was mistreated at his job. So yeah, I'm all for, him, I guess, doing the lawsuit. I wish him nothing but the best. I'm not going to say he was right or wrong, because I think at the end of the day, if you felt you were disrespected, you felt you were disrespected. So we'll see how that plays out. But just thought it was a cool nugget to maybe potentially share. So moving on to, I guess, the final topic here. Is going to be our, Super Bowl pick based on, I guess, the schedule. Like, what teams do we see use their schedule, go through it, and make it to the big game? Last year, I was 1 for 2. I got the Rams right out of the NFC. Let's not talk about the AFC. I think I had the Colts in the AFC Championship. So we're not going to talk about what I had in the AFC, but I'm going to give myself credit for the Rams. So I'll let Shrikar start, because I know he's a little bit more confident than I am in our Super Bowl picks.
Mm-hmm. So I'll be straight up here. My matchup is the Buffalo Bills out of the AFC against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers out of the NFC. I think Brady is going back to the Super Bowl. I'll start off on the NFC side. I think the Bucks are going to get that 1 seed. They are in a pretty much terrible division outside of New Orleans. Like, I think they're going to sweep Carolina. I think they're going to sweep Atlanta. They'll split with New Orleans, because New Orleans just always, they're always playing in those games. But you look at the Rams. I think the Rams are definitely my 2 seed here. Packers 3 seed. I think I have the Cowboys 4 seed is basically whoever wins the NFC East there. But I really think the Bucks, I just think, even though they have Todd Bowles, there is some concern there about how well he's going to take over. I think he was a hell of a coordinator. I think he's going to step in nicely. I think he's going to be a good head coach for the Bucks. And obviously, it's Tom Brady. Like, I'm getting into a mindset where, I can't bet against him if he's the 1 seed and he's got that first round bye. And especially if they see the Rams again in the conference championship and it's on their turf, I'm going to pick the Bucks. So I got the Bucks in the Super Bowl. And then on the AFC side, I think the Bills, it's almost like the same situation. I think they're going to get the 1 seed. I think easy division once again. The tough part here is I think they're going to see the Chiefs again in the AFC Championship, and that's where it kind of gets a little tricky, because here's the thing. It's in Buffalo. It's in Buffalo in the playoffs. Weather's definitely going to be a factor. I would take the Bills in that game. If it's in Buffalo, I'm going to take the Bills. So I have the Bills and the Bucks, and if I'm going to make my pick here right now, early Super Bowl prediction, I have the Bills winning it all for the first time in their franchise's history. Last year, the Bills, they were undone by that 13 seconds game in Kansas City. And look, if they held on to that game, they would have been favored in the AFC title game at home. Who knows what would have happened? But they bolstered that defense with Von Miller. It's a weak division. They have the inside track. Receiver depth is questionable. Stephon Diggs has to stay healthy. And you got to hope Miller doesn't regress. But everybody has flaws. And in my opinion, Buffalo just has the least in my eyes. So I got the Bills winning the Super Bowl.
Man, mine, I've gone so back and forth with up and down. All right, I'm going to go with my NFC pick first. I got the Bucks out of the NFC as well. I think if anyone, look, the NFC for the last decade has just been flip flop of teams. It's so hard to repeat as NFC champions. The only one that's done it in the last decade is the Seahawks, I'm pretty sure. And I think the only one who can repeat as a conference champion is Tom Brady. So I just think the Rams, there's going to be something I think is just going to come up. And I think if they have to go on the road to Tampa again, I just don't know. I think Tampa gets their revenge. So that's my NFC pick. The AFC, this one is a bold one. This one is a very bold one, and I'm gonna totally change it. But I'm gonna just throw it out there. It's the Baltimore Ravens.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a
Hey.
really bold one, but I think they get over the hump. Something about it this year. They get all their players back. They had a hell of a draft. and I think they're actually going to be the ones in the AFC Championship. And I think the Bills beat the Chiefs at home in the divisional round and get there. But I think the Ravens shock the world and
You
take
know
it.
what's crazy about that? I have Bills Ravens in the divisional.
Interesting.
I
Yeah,
have
I
Bills.
think the Raven. Yeah, I think the Ravens will get. I think the Ravens will get there. I have them winning the division. It's just something about Baltimore this year. I don't know. Like this is just my early pick. I think it's definitely going to change. But yeah, what did I have? Bucks Ravens, and I'm gonna pick Tom Brady to end it out, end his career with the eighth Super Bowl ring, which is crazy to me. But
Jeez.
Lamar is gonna silence a lot of haters, and he's gonna kind of reclaim his throne as like a top five quarterback. So yeah, it's my pick.
That's solid.
Yeah, so let us know what you guys think. I know it's a little bit bold. I didn't pick, any of the like 4 or 5 teams that most people have, or I mean, I guess the Bucks, but other than that, so let us know what you guys think. Interested to hear. We had a little fun with the schedule. Let us know, how your favorite team is looking with the schedule, or what game you're most looking forward to, or your Super Bowl pick. Let us know in the comments below. With that being said, this has been the Cold Hard Truth NFL podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we will see you next time.